Coming up on episode 180, FF7 returns soon. Disney films get pushed back, Godzilla's coming to Magic, and much, much more on the 8-Bit Adventures podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the 8-Bit Adventures podcast, bringing you the latest and greatest geeky news of the week. I am your host, Sean Hayes, and with me are my wonderful co-hosts, as always, Courtney Bolin.
Hey, everybody.
And Josh York.
I don't know if wonderful is the right word right now. I don't know what the word to describe my mental state is, but we can talk about that later.
No, see, you are wonderful. Your mental state may be struggling, but you yourself are still wonderful. Yeah. Take the compliment.
Oh, I can't find the salt emoji. That's what I was looking for.
There's a lot of salt. There's a lot of salt.
Yep. Why don't we get right into this, because part of that's related to our first news item here.
That is true.
Yeah.
This is on top of that.
Final Fantasy VII Remake comes out on Friday.
Does it?
It does come out on Friday.
It does. Yes, of course it does.
Yes.
But people like me,
yeah,
will probably not be getting their physical copy on Friday if you ordered from a GameStop. Because
in Massachusetts, you definitely won't be.
Yep. Well, I didn't realize they were closed because they were doing door deliver, like curbside delivery, not that long ago, and I did that not too long ago.
Yeah, no. The governor put an end to that, and put an end to their claiming to be an essential business. So,
there are many people in the same situation as me who pre-ordered the game, paid full, I put full payment down on it, and now nothing, no information, no here's a ETA, nothing. So it's very frustrating. I mean, I get it, I understand, fine, but I think they have a responsibility to be more what's the word? I don't know.
Well, to be fair, even if you did it from Target or Walmart, I know some of those stores are also blocking off electronics,
right,
or blocking off game sections. So you wouldn't be able to pick it up if you'd pre-order.
I have no problem with what they're doing. I'm saying is they're not giving the customers information about what's going on, in any type of detail, other than we're closed, and they're just our hands are clean of whatever is going on.
Now, I think
pre-orders and all this other stuff, we're closed. Oh well.
So let's say a customer-facing option would be if GameStop was able and other retailers were able to work with developers,
right,
and procure, say, digital download codes, and say, email folks and be like, hey, we understand that you had placed a physical pre-order. Obviously, you can't pick up your pre-order. Would you like us to send you a digital download code instead?
Oh, guys, this is actually, I'm on GameStop's website right now. On April 2nd, they actually have a thing on their website. So if you are picking up your pre-order from a closed GameStop location, now I'm just going to state exactly what they say on their website. So this is directly from GameStop.com. If you have pre-ordered a game from a store that is currently closed due to local or state mandates, here's information that will help you get your game on time. If you have fully prepaid for the game, we'll be sending you an email that includes
lies. I never got an email.
Hold on.
I know. I know all this information. I was going to go into this. This was part of my complaint.
Yeah.
I know they did this, but there are many, many, many people, including myself, who did not get any email, who got no information. And then
but you might not get it until Friday.
The email? So the email is so that they can find a way to ship it to you.
I have no idea.
Right, and I'm not saying you do. I'm
Okay.
stating, and I was going into it is that's part of the problem. So
Okay.
there's an alleged something that they're doing, but a good
Mhm.
chunk of people are not getting the information or what was said or not getting what was promised. So
Mhm.
I'm a perfect example. I paid in full for my
Yep.
pre-order. No email, nothing, no
Have you
information.
checked you've checked your spam
Yes,
folder and
spam. I
everything?
made sure I didn't delete it.
That's
I
really
everything,
weird. I
nothing.
would think.
So, and this is not uncommon. There are many people. So
Oh yeah.
but what's also happening is when people are posting on their Twitter or the social medias, these comments are getting deleted. Um, like saying like, hey,
Yeah, that's also a problem.
yeah,
Wait, what? Like GameStop is deleting the
yeah,
comments
Yeah.
if people
yes,
saying, "Hey, you said you were going to send an email."
yeah.
What? I mean, I'm not surprised.
So I spent a good chunk of my
But
morning this morning like trying to figure this out.
yeah.
Um, because I was just under the assumption that I was going to go there and pick it up at the door on Friday. But
Yeah.
I thought, I better double check.
Yeah, that's yeah.
So
Um
in my research and seeing like what could be done, I found like, yeah, they're supposed to send an email to people. And like, this
yeah.
also happened with Resident Evil 3 last Friday for a lot of
Mhm.
people.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah, for people cuz our store like just our local GameStop just closed like this week or early or late last week, I think.
Yeah.
But
Well, and here's the thing. So, like, let's say that the email is that, let's theorize here, is that,
mhm.
Josh, that you do get the email,
mm,
like, on Friday or whatever. Like, great, they sent you the email, but that's still too late. Is
Yeah.
that, like, they should have sent it the moment they knew that the store was going to be closed to then make arrangements. So that way, like, yeah, it might come late due to shipping delays or whatever, but at least, like, it would have at least shown that they were trying to handle the problem, as
right.
opposed to right now where it's not.
And
And I
then
agree,
just
it's
getting in
bad customer
contact,
service.
like I tried, like I sat on hold their customer service for like an hour this morning before I hung up, and
Yeah.
like I figured that'd be the case, just because I'm
Yeah.
sure they're overloaded with a lot of people who are in a situation that I am trying to figure out what the heck's going on, and
Yeah,
not
for
that
the
they can probably do much from that end anyway.
yeah.
But it was kind of like a Hail Mary, is like, could anything be done? And I wasn't going to sit on hold all morning, so.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, it's a frustrating situation, and obviously the circumstances outside of all this in the world, I get it. It takes
Yeah.
precedence, but
Oh yeah,
my
but it's
complaint is I don't feel that their management and whatever upper administration is doing enough to like
because they're
uh
not because they only care about profits.
right. But if here's the hook on that,
Yep.
you make more profits when you make people happy, and
Oh
like
yeah.
you do things to like improve customer
Yeah.
experience.
Mhm.
So people have been
Oh,
complaining
they
about
don't.
GameStop for a long, long, long time, and I've
Yep.
actually never had any issues because I make it a rule never to pre-order. I never ever do this. This is the one game in my
Mhm.
life I've made an exception on to pre-order, just because it was like the one. It's the only game I could think of that I would do that. So I was like, and I didn't pre-order until last month anyway. Like it was like end of February or beginning of March that I did my pre-order because I
Yeah.
was hemming and hawing about it because I don't like to do that. But I was like, yeah, whatever. And that was before everything got the way it was and or the way it is, and
Yeah.
it's just I wish they would do more and not kind of just
Yeah.
like leave everybody in the dark. That's all. That's my biggest complaint.
Yeah.
What I'm gonna do, I'll probably end up doing the digital download off the PSN store.
And then you can get a full refund on
No,
your.
I want the physical. I want the actual physical copy for my collection.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Well,
That
and
was that was part of it.
here's the
Yeah.
other sort of ironic part about GameStop was that because they've been floundering, they were trying to kind of redefine their stores and everything to be a social gaming
Yeah.
space, and they were supposed to start rolling that out this year as a
Oh
hope
yeah.
to try and save the company. So
Mhm.
obviously that's not going to happen. And so now it's like, oh great, this whole entire company changing initiative can't happen. So yeah, it might be another nail in the coffin. I mean,
I
yeah.
mean,
Can Reggie save GameStop?
No.
Find out next time on Dragon
No,
Ball
because they
Z.
only care
Dragon
about
Ball Z.
profits. No, because they only care about profits that day. They don't actually care about profits tomorrow or
So
the next day.
you can say that about any company pretty much, because that's just, but
Oh, yeah.
we're going to get into a political
Yeah.
quagmire if we go into that discussion, but that's just how
But they
capitalism
don't.
operates.
Yeah, but
Especially
they don't
in this day and age. It's all about quarterly profits and no extended foresight for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like there's legitimately no foresight beyond that day.
Yeah. So, but the reason why I included aside from that, for including FF7 was I read today that so if Josh, you were still going to go only physical copy, is that in order to fully install the game, you have to install it from 2 separate discs.
Yeah. It's big. It's 100 gigs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like Red Dead size.
It's huge.
It's so apparently you install chapter 1 from one disc, and then when you complete chapter 1, it asks you to load another disc to install it from.
Oh my goodness, we're going back to the late 90s, early 2000s.
Well, that's why I said, like, oh yeah, it's why the title of the show is it's still a multi-disc game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even chapter 1 is multiple discs.
Yep.
So yeah, I thought it was a little funny thing that like Square they can't seem to get away from just making this huge.
I mean, I think you're gonna run into that. So if you have a hardware and we're at the end of this generation's life cycle anyway, and you're starting to really push the hardware to its limits and what can be done, and you really want to get the most that you can, that was what was happening on PlayStation, right? Even PlayStation was a big jump from the 16-bit era, and that's why you got Final Fantasy was a 3-disc game, and Final Fantasy VIII was a 4-disc game, and
I thought 7 was a 4-disc game.
I want to say it was 3.
I mean, maybe, I don't know.
It came in one of those fat 4-disc cases, but I think it was a 3. I want to say it was a 3-disc.
Okay,
I could go check. It's out on my shelf, but
it's not that big.
But you had a lot of games like that. So like even there were a lot of 2-disc games. Resident Evil 2 was a 2-disc game. So I mean that unless the cartridges were different, right? N64 didn't do that because you were on carts. And it's a different physical.
Well, and it's also one of the things that people in the industry have talked about is how one of the ways that Nintendo separates itself is focusing so heavily, and it's partially because of their hardware, but focusing so heavily on optimization is they are able to make code super efficient. And I feel like largely a lot of that stemmed from when Iwata was running the company, since the big example of him was, going from Pokemon Red and Blue to Pokemon Gold and Silver, where Game Freak wasn't going to make it happen. They were just like, we can't figure out how to fit this game on there. And then when he came in and basically like fixed and optimized the code, not only did he get it down so that they were able to fit everything on the cart, it was then they were able to add basically the entire game of Red and Blue on there as well. And why, a game like Breath of the Wild is like, what, 10 gigs? So,
it's also different. Like, obviously you're looking at also different art styles play big into that.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Breath of the Wild, like all cell shaded and whatnot, which is fine. It looks good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that puts less stress on hardware than what Square is doing with.
It's a thing where
like photorealistic looking games
with Xbox and PlayStation, because you have much bigger capacities and much more powerful hardware, is you find that like a lot of the companies that are developing for that tend to be a little looser with their optimization because they have the wiggle room, whereas companies that put stuff on Nintendo's hardware, they're often like, oh geez, we really got to cut this down, we got to figure out how to make this work. And so you see like a lot of interesting tricks get thrown in there.
I mean, and you get pretty amazing, beautiful games either way, right? Breath of the Wild is a stunning game.
Oh yeah.
Right. And I've never played it. I've watched people play it, but it's a stunning game.
I would say there's the caveat of for companies that do it well, because on both sides you will see plenty of kind of unoptimized, horrible pieces of garbage
100%,
as well.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, you could have two
Yeah.
games that look very different. God of War on the PS4 and Breath of the Wild. Both are very amazing, stunning
Oh,
looking
yeah.
games visually,
Yeah.
right? But they totally
Yeah.
have two totally different styles, right? God of War, photorealistic, boom. Breath of the Wild, very stylized, but both have amazing visuals and like
Yeah.
gameplay
it
and the whole
does.
deal.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. You can do really well either way.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's just a little PSA for anybody that is able to pick up the physical copy of the game.
Yeah.
Is that they're I think you can either do it all at once or you can break it up into chunks, but there'll be a fair amount of installation required even from a physical copy. So
I would just say suck it up and do it all at once, just so your gameplay is uninterrupted.
Yep.
I think that's my overnight project tonight, is to buy the game and just get the download started.
Yeah.
So it's there and ready to go for Friday
that's
morning.
why I kind of, I mean, you know, previously I have kind of been like a buy physical when I can, but especially now that my internet's much better, is like I pre-ordered Xenoblade, and like that's all downloaded and ready to go now. So yeah, so I'm really kind of seeing the appeal of it.
Yeah, there's a huge appeal of it. I mean, it's great. And there's just, I am a collector of physical game. Like I have my retro collection, and I like having the physical boxes. And like, one day, if I can ever own my own place and have the room, like I'm gonna have a room with all that stuff in it. Like that's
Xenoblade would normally be a thing where I would pick up the physical box. But I figure like I have it for the Wii in the physical cart and everything. So
yeah, I'm probably just gonna go digital with BioShock when those come out.
Yeah, I've got those. Like I've got those
also
digital on my Steam right now, just waiting.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I've had them digitally in my Steam for ever. And yeah, those are gonna be my birthday gift to myself. And so yeah, I'm just gonna want to be able to play them day one. So, well, so long as all of this is blown over.
So, any final thoughts on FF7 before we move on?
It's gonna be amazing. However I get it, that's it. It's all I'm doing from Friday until I can't stand it anymore.
Until it's
I will be super interested to watch those streams.
Yeah, I'll definitely be streaming it for sure.
Yeah. Because I know it's probably not coming to PC for a while.
Probably not at least a year.
Yeah.
That's about what it was for Final Fantasy 15 after it came out. But I don't know if I hope they're not doing DLC like they did for 15, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I've heard two sides of the like reviews because Australians got it last week. I think some Europeans got it already.
I think you said that last week too.
Yeah. I mean, you have the haters, right? Just like I was talking with somebody in stream about this, and I was talking about with him on his stream about the other day. Like, there's going to be haters about everything, right? Because it's not what you have. It's not what you built up in your mind.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Just like, here's the example I use: Star Wars. If it isn't what people want it to exactly be in their mind, it's the worst thing ever, and they can't just like enjoy a movie for a movie. It has to. If it has a little plot hole here or a little inconsistency, or they don't like a choice or something,
or a casting choice, even
whatever, right?
Yeah,
anything. It's just like, oh, this is the worst thing ever. Childhood ruined. No, the old media still exists, and it can be independent of that if you want it to. It doesn't have to. Like, you can ignore it. Like, you can ignore the new trilogy if you want. Like, you don't have to. No one's saying you have to like it, right?
Yeah.
Or you have to count it.
Yeah,
whatever. If like an official canon, whatever. But who cares? It's the same. Like, haters are gonna hate and whatever. Like, so I'm looking forward to it because I know it's gonna be different from the original. I know they're gonna change story beats, and I'm just gonna accept it for its own thing and its own interpretation of the game. So, and it's only the first part of the game anyway. It's not even the whole like Final Fantasy VII. It's the first act.
And as someone who is finishing up Chrono Trigger right now, action time battle systems deserve to go away anyway.
Yeah, I mean, not even
it's
just.
Not
I
that
think
great
more,
of a system.
I don't even think it's just like the combat that people are it's like they've definitely made some different story choices. Okay, whatever. Go play the original, I guess, if you really want.
If it makes it clearer, then I'm all for it, because for me, the first time I played that game in high school, it was an absolute mess, and I don't think I would have understood the story without a guide.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't for the longest time. Even now, there's still parts that I'm a little like fuzzy on, and up until relatively recently, I never had a total good grasp on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I've had this conversation. So I played Final Fantasy X finished it last week, but in playing that, something I noticed is just the jump of storytelling quality from even PS1 Final Fantasy games to the PS2 to Final Fantasy X, because of the hardware improvements and like the character models and voice acting. Even though the voice acting isn't perfect in that game, like there's so much more that they can do storytelling wise to make it more clear and comprehensible and consistent and just overall easier to follow and better than you can do in text boxes in those older games, right? Because you're kind of having to interpret the tone of what somebody's saying when you're reading it for yourself.
Yeah.
And you're having to use your own whatever context clues, and that could be different for everybody as to what's going on. Whereas it's much clearer.
The context clues.
Right, and sometimes you're missing that. So, yeah. And here's my other thing with this. This is a 20-something-year-old game.
Yeah.
22, 23-year-old game. Yeah. We know the story. I forgot where I was going with this. I lost it, but whatever. Just, I think storytelling overall is better. And I think that when you have something built in your head from your youth, you want it to be that, because people want to feel comforted through their nostalgia. That's a lot of what retro gaming is. That's a lot of this full FF7 thing. It's capturing a nostalgia, but it's not that. I'm never gonna be 12 years old again playing that on a rental and having my mind blown when I left Midgar and realizing, oh, this is a globe-trotting game. This isn't just a game in a city that I thought it was gonna be, because I'd never played anything like that in my life. I played like you have a level and you go to the next level when you're done, and it's like, whoa, this is like so much more open and mind-blowing, and there's like a deep-ish story compared to what I played before. I'm never going to have that feeling again, because that was the place and time and the experience of that moment. Accept this for what it is and have it be something else. So a lot of people love this game that have reviewed it. They said it's great, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be great too.
Yeah.
Cool.
Next up on the list, so we've kind of talked about it a little bit before, but so we got some dates for when Disney, we'll call it the Disney Studio films, have been pushed back. This is now including Marvel Phase 4, but basically because Mulan and Black Widow are being pushed, it's kind of affecting the release dates of like the entirety of Marvel's Phase 4 content. So,
which makes sense.
Mulan is now late July of this year. Black Widow's been pushed back to November. The Eternals have subsequently been pushed back to February of next year. Bob's Burgers. I did not realize there was going to be a Bob's Burgers movie pushed back to April of next year. It's apparently an animated musical comedy
based off of the TV show.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, it's the same. It's the same thing. Yeah, so it's basically just probably a 2-hour long episode of Bob's Burgers.
That's gonna be awesome, and it's coming out at just the right time.
Yeah, I think April is probably a good time to come out, because like it's not really a kind of a great time to release a film. But because it's not. Like, here's the thing. I think April is a better choice for that film to come out than it was supposed to be July of this year.
Oh, no. April.
And I don't think it was going to compete with summer blockbusters.
No way.
But Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings, May of next year. Jungle Cruise, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Is that based on the ride?
It is based on the ride.
Animal Kingdom?
Yes. No, it's Magic Kingdom.
Magic Kingdom. Oh, that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also known as like Jumanji on a boat.
Yeah, that's all. It's like, is this just Jumanji again?
Which like I'm fine. I'm fine with. I think it's just gonna be a super schlocky, cheesy adventure
It's a
film.
rock movie. Like
Uh,
that's what he does these days.
yeah, but I'm kind of okay with that. Uh, also because like Jungle Cruise is just camp. Uh, like it is just 100% camp, and it's played up to be that now because it's got that reputation.
Mm-hmm.
And it fits in with him doing Jumanji, so I think it'll be fine. But yeah, push back a year, basically to accommodate Mulan getting bumped. So that's July of next year. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness next November. Thor: Love and Thunder pushed back to 2022. It's gonna be a February film.
And now my question is, why aren't they releasing it the week before Valentine's?
Well, my guess would be, hang on, let's pull up a calendar.
It's a Thor movie. Like I don't know. If I had a sweetheart, I would like my Valentine to take me to a Thor movie.
I feel like because Valentine's Day will be on a Monday that year.
Okay.
That means that because of how quote unquote midnight releases now happen like Wednesday night.
Yeah.
That would mean it would come out on the 9th as opposed to on the 16th.
Okay.
Because they say it's gonna release on the 18th, which would be a Friday, but like we all know that means that it's releasing on that Wednesday.
Yes.
And then Captain Marvel.
If your theater is a big theater that's lucky enough to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. And then Captain Marvel 2 is July 2022. So.
Witcher also got pushed back.
Oh, Witcher did get pushed back. Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering.
Witcher got pushed back.
Yeah.
So I know that's not Disney. But
no, that's fine. Yeah, we're talking about stuff getting pushed. Yeah. And that doesn't necessarily surprise me.
No, because
I was just
still having to make Henry Cavill's like outfits because
of course.
like his muscles just keep ripping through everything. So it's really just giving the seamstresses time.
It's not fair how handsome that guy is.
Yeah.
You need to like save some for the rest of us, bro.
I just that fact that came out of The Witcher's production was my favorite fact about Henry Cavill or The Witcher or Netflix in general, is just the fact that he kept ripping through the leather armor, so they had to keep remaking it. And it's that's great. That just makes like that completely changes how I think about like D&D now. Is like, oh, so clearly, I mean, if you're above a certain strength score, then maybe
leather armor ain't gonna work for you.
Well, or maybe that you just need to spend your downtime making repairs on your armor from just wearing it.
See, I think that something that, and I don't know if this is true, but I like to think this is what you get when you have a artist, an actor who has really wanted to play this role, and now he gets to, and he's just like all about it. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna get ripped for it. I'm gonna like. He's
pretty ripped anyway when he was Superman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's just pretty beefy in general.
He's like, I'm gonna stay ripped. I'm gonna get all this definition, and it's like, yeah, we just need to keep giving actors the roles that they are saying, hey, I'd love to be able to play this.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that with Rosario Dawson.
Yeah. Yep.
Playing Ahsoka.
Yeah, and then you get, Ryan Reynolds and as Deadpool, and it's just like, that's when we get the passion, and that's when we get the awesome acting.
Yeah.
And I want to see more of it. But yeah, sadly, Witcher has also been pushed back, but that's okay. That means that everybody gets to remain safe, and again, the seamstresses get some extra time to make more costumes.
Yeah.
So long as they can get their materials, I bet you they're still working from home.
Maybe. I don't really know how Hollywood studios are being impacted.
You can do a lot of seamstering. At least you can do a lot of sewing from home.
Maybe.
So long as you can do it.
I mean, well, here's the thing. It depends on what equipment is available to take home from the studio.
Yes, that is
the thing.
fair.
So, but anyway, shall we move along?
Yes, before I get sad.
So, the next set for Magic the Gathering is Ikoria, the Lair of Behemoths, which focuses on basically giant kaiju monsters. And as a partnership, because it's giant kaiju monsters, Wizards announced that they were partnering with Toho, who does Godzilla, for a series of alternate promo cards.
Nice!
Where these cards look amazing. They do like all custom artwork, and like they don't follow the traditional format, so it's like the full bleed cards that they do.
Oh, nice.
And what they do is they put the sort of Godzilla monster's name up top, and then the actual Magic card name like down below is like subtext for it.
Yep.
So it's like it'll be like Godzilla, King of the Monsters, or Godzilla, Primordial Champion, or so I saw there was Ghidorah, King of the Cosmos, Rodan, Mothra, Mechagodzilla's in there, Space Godzilla, Godzilla Junior or Baby Godzilla is in there.
Godzilla.
Baby Godzilla.
There's a Godzilla cartoon, and Godzuki was the child Godzilla.
There were multiple Godzilla cartoons.
I just remember this.
But yes, that was definitely one of them. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think it was late 80s, early 90s when they just tried to make like a cartoon for everything.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, sort of to the point of Final Fantasy VII hardcore fans complaining about stuff, diehard Magic the Gathering fans complaining about this. I think it's silly.
Why? They're promo cards.
Yeah, they're alternate promo cards. It's just, it's some of the same complaints that I heard when Wizards announced that they were doing the Critical Role book for D&D is a little bit of corporate sellout, quote unquote, but I don't know. I love this. I would love to see Magic like do more partnerships like this or whatever.
Well, and I think again, it's promo cards. They're not.
It does zero to affect the gameplay.
Exactly.
Correct. It is in fact alternate card art is what it is.
Where I can kind of see the Critical Role thing because it has some effect on like D&D as a whole, and like other settings getting pushed aside and whatever. And that's still a crappy thing to complain about. I think it's like not logical because you make up your own or use old existing, books. It's all out there. But this has zero effect on the gameplay of Magic, so who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like these cards will be able to be used in like Friday Night Magic, so
I don't see why not, because mechanically speaking, Courtney, is they are identical to the card that is titled in the subtext.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Then
the back
then
of the
again,
card's the same. It's the same card stock. It's all the same.
Well, then again, if the mechanic is
got a
completely
different picture.
the same, I have no issue.
Just has it's an alternate art card. That's all it is.
Yeah. So for example, if it's like Godzilla Primordial Champion, it'll say like, I don't know, Tyrannosaur monster below it, and then there's an actual Tyrannosaur monster card in the set, and they have the same exact mechanics and costs and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. All in all, I mean, it's like it's not going to pull me back into playing Magic.
Definitely not going to pull me back into Magic, but it's cool.
It might entice me to try out Arena, since you can play. Since Arena's sort of like Hearthstone in that you can do free to play. But I don't know. It's I don't know.
The only way I can see myself really playing Magic anymore is like if a set like this were to drop, right, and then I went to like a release and did the draft, because they always do drafts on like the week before the week of release.
Yeah,
so that's fun. You kind of get to see the new cards, and I like to go. I always did this even when I was playing Magic heavily, going pretty blind. Not like they release all the they spoil the cards beforehand, but like I like going and not knowing what it is. You get your draft, and you kind of just see it for the first time. It's kind of fun just to mess around.
That's true. It might be.
It's not very serious.
And when everything opens back up, it might be worthwhile to make a trip up to Purple Dragon and just throw Nico some money and be like, oh.
We should, you know what? I'll go with you one day if you want to go up and play a draft one time.
Yeah.
Like on when a set releases.
I've been up there. I've been up there.
Play
and
like $10 and you draft and you play for an afternoon. It's
if
fun.
Nico's got like 4 people in the store, he's like, "Hey, y'all want to do a draft?"
There's also a local like one Mana Crypt on West Housatonic Street in Pittsfield. And they have taken the newspaper down from the windows so it doesn't look scary anymore.
It's nice in there. I bought a bunch of miniatures there.
Yeah, I know. We have a couple other friends who go over there too. So
yeah,
but yeah.
I just know I have a college connection.
Yes,
to
yes,
Nico,
I do. I remember your
Yeah, so they're both local.
Yes.
So, but yeah, so I don't know when that's scheduled to drop. They're starting to do like pre-release orders and everything.
Usually 3 sets drop a year. So I don't know.
Let's see. I think it was supposed to be.
But they may get
this is interesting. So it's being released in Asia first. Probably because of the tie-in. So next week is when it comes out in Asia, and then May 15th elsewhere. So assuming there aren't any further delays.
Yeah.
So and then last up, we kind of had a surprise Unearthed Arcana come out a couple weeks ago that caught me unawares. So this covers just some new summoning spells that Wizards is trying out. We were talking a little bit off stream about them. But the idea is, and we've seen this in a couple other Unearthed Arcana articles before, is Wizards is trying to move away from spells, class features, and whatnot that force you to go from the player's handbook or whatever book that you're using to picking up another book to reference, unless it's like a core rule kind of a thing. So Jeremy Crawford has lamented at the design they went with for a lot of the current summoning spells or like Wild Shape, in that it forces like a player to either have to go to their DM and ask like, okay, so what are my options here? Or having to go to like the monster manual and trying to look through the laundry list of things in there, and instead providing, here is a template, and you get options based on this template, and as far as how it looks, you can customize it however you want. So I kind of like this. I think it tightens up the design a bit, and it leads to less problematic stuff due to design quirks. Conjure Woodland Beings being the forerunner in problematic design, where it's intended. So due to quirks and how challenge rating works, it's intended that challenge rating is supposed to be for things that are like a combat challenge for players. This gets a little weird, and when you're doing things that are not meant to be like real quote-unquote combat challenges because they're like good creatures or helpful creatures or whatever. So you have things like pixies being challenge rating 1/8, mostly because they have like 1 hit point. But they have this giant list of spells that they can cast once per day. Because they're challenge rating 1/8, with a 4th level spell, you can summon 8 of them, and now suddenly expend 1 4th level spell slot to gain 8 castings of Polymorph, for example.
Yeah.
That, then you have to say, oh, well, you just have to ask your DM, your DM will just ban it, kind of a thing. And it's like, well, what if it was designed in such a way from the get-go that you didn't have to do that to account for kind of quirks and design flaws? So basically Wizards released this document where it's got new summoning spells that range from 2nd to 5th level, and then some other spells thrown in there that kind of fit a summoning / conjuration / for using Warcraft, like demonology fare, that range for summoning stuff. So beasts, fae, elementals, shadows, and aberrant and Celestial, to kind of cover all the bases for like where do you pull stuff from. In addition, there's a new cantrip which throws acid, and the acid like is basically one of the only forms of like damage over time that we have in fifth edition. We have a couple other options like Melf's acid arrow. There's some like fire spells that do damage over time type stuff.
I think the big thing is because we have a lot that are like if you are still in the area of effect, then you still get the damage. But
Yeah.
there's not many that is specific to that one person or that
Yeah.
one creature. And that's I think that's a very important distinction to make.
Yeah. Because so from a design perspective, and this kind of goes back a little bit into 4th edition, where everything was a lot more tactical. So like AoE stuff that does that is more about zone control and
Yes.
like basically punishing people for being in a specific region. Whereas stuff like Acid Stream is more about basically providing a different way to DPS.
Yep.
But yeah, all in all, I'm a big fan of a lot of the spells that they put in this document. I think I might even pick up the Beast one for my Ranger when he gets up to 4th level. Because yeah, it's a nice, interesting option that doesn't like bog down combat either, which I think is the big thing. Because now you're not suddenly adding 8 combatants to a combat.
Or you're stopping combat to look through the monster manual and discuss with your DM and
so currently the way it works is there's like an unwritten agreement that if you're going to cast like one of the conjure spells is that you have the stats ready to go, and like you yourself make a short list of things that you're going to summon.
Yeah.
And you don't really deviate from that. So that you don't bog down combat and you have everything ready to go. This way, you only have to basically write down the spell description and then you're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
But and I can't remember if we talked about it or not, but apparently Xanathar's guide is getting errata, which includes a revision to Healing Spirit, which is another spell that was viewed as... So the revision is basically once it heals a number of times equal to 1 plus your spellcasting ability modifier, the spirit dissipates.
Okay.
And that's like the only change they made to it.
I mean, I never thought Healing Spirit was that OP anyway, but
no.
And that's me on the DM side of things looking at it. I never thought it was crazy.
Yeah.
But again, I always just make things more difficult if I think the party's getting strong.
It was so part of it was kind of misreading and different interpretations of how it should work with life clerics in particular. Part of it was complaints from people that play life clerics in that they were getting out healed by rangers and druids. But I don't know.
Man, I don't know. That's again, being a DM, that's easy to deal with.
Like I think it's just because like Prayer of Healing
sucks.
Yeah, so the issue is Prayer of Healing is just not good, and it doesn't keep up with Healing Spirit.
Yeah.
I mean, the obvious solution would be
Is Healing Spirit the one that's 1d6 every time you pass through it?
It's the hokey pokey.
It's the hokey pokey one. Some folks are also complaining that like, if you spread it out and do it outside of combat, it heals as much as like Heal does, which is a much higher level spell.
Yeah, but guess what? They just wasted. They again, DM speaking. They used a spell slot outside of battle. Good luck in the next fight if you're going to keep burning through spell slots, and especially rangers who don't have that many spell slots.
Not necessarily a fan of having to use one of my limited spell slots on Healing Spirit.
Exactly. And if a druid's doing it, fine. They're burning spell slots that they can't do all the other supportive stuff. Whatever. Like that's how I look at it. If they're burning spell slots, that makes their life more difficult as things go on.
I mean, I think what would have made an interesting change, right, is like, don't call it healing spirit, change it up so that it's you just target a creature and make it healing over time, because we don't have any of those in 5th edition either.
Yeah.
And just say like creature heals 1d6 hit points per turn for the duration.
But it would have to be focused on one individual creature.
Yeah.
That would yeah.
So
imagine
Driz is asking
it through.
Did
imagine
you guys have that ring?
Driz is asking, name it regeneration. Regenerate is already a spell, which coincidentally does not actually do healing over time. It heals like 3d8 hit points, but it regrows body parts. But yeah, I mean, it's Warcraft has 17 million different healing over time spells, and they're all druid.
Well, imagine if you want to keep a healing spirit, say you attach a healing spirit to somebody on your team, and it just kind of follows them around and heals them every turn for whatever, as long as you concentrate on it or the duration or whatever. That's details that don't matter, but like whether it's a D6 or a D4 or whatever the heck you want it to be.
Yeah,
maybe maybe you can upcast it to do, I don't know, but like whatever.
Yeah, like
we just made a really awesome spell. There we go.
It's like it's D4 and you upcast it if you want it to do a D6 or D.
No, you would have it do 2d4.
Yeah,
fine.
Like upcast
Again,
it
fine if you want to upcast it. You're burning higher level spells. Fine with me. Yeah. Like I'm always fine if you want to upcast.
Honestly, I think doing a straight D6 that does not factor in your ability score modifier and it requiring concentration, that's enough of a trade-off. Even if you upcast it, because as it stands right now, healing in 5th edition is not that powerful.
No.
And from like super optimization standpoint, people have noted that it's often better to let people drop to 0 hit points and then bring them back with healing magic than it is to try and like heal and mitigate that damage.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucks, to be quite honest.
I could see that, and I don't always get that feeling because in my games I let players cast 2 spells per, like a bonus action and an action, so clerics are often doing healing word and cure wounds in the same turn, but that's just my game and I account for that in my difficulty anyway. But I could see like if you're playing by the books and you don't do that, like healing would kind of feel very lackluster and you would never feel like you're able to keep up.
So yeah, you know what, we'll I'll post the spell that we made in on the Patreon for adventurer tier patrons for some playtesting purposes, and then after a certain period we'll make it public and I'll throw it up on D&D Beyond.
Cool.
I like that. Like imagine like a druid casting like this healing spirit or a ranger that just kind of follows you around.
I love the idea of a druid casting a healing spirit, and it actually like looks like some cute little animal, like a like
that's not what I imagined. I imagined it looking like totally some crazy gnarly fae thing, but that's just me.
Yeah.
No, I'm totally imagining like a cat just like rubbing between your legs. I'm imagining like a
Neopet looking.
I really like how Warcraft themes a lot of the healing spell, so that it's like regrowth, life bloom. I also really like life bloom as a concept for a spell where it's it heals to a certain point, and then if it heals for the full duration, then does like another healing thing on top of that. So
and here's something I always thought about, like MMO wise. In the end, when you break it down, all healing spells are you're just increasing the numbers of somebody else's HP. Like they all do the exact same thing, but what differentiates them is like little differences in like maybe it's over time, or maybe it does an extra thing at the end, or maybe just visually it looks a little different on the screen and it fits thematically with the class. Like little things like that to me make all the difference, because in the end they all do the exact same thing. Same with damage. What the difference between a shaman and a fury warrior, enhancement shaman and fury warrior, is not that much, because you're doing the same exact thing. You're hitting things with weapons. It's just like the aesthetic of how you're doing it is the difference. That's all it is.
It's how you are killing somebody, not as you are killing somebody.
The numbers are still the numbers. It's in the end, it's all the same exact thing.
And remind me, we'll come back to that topic, because we'll throw in some bonus news in there.
Oh yeah.
But so basically, really quick, is as part of this Unearthed Arcana, there's also magic tattoos.
Yeah.
I have a feeling this was kind of in response to some of the magic tattoo stuff that Matt's doing on Critical Role, a little bit, since this comes out after Wildmount has come out. But the idea is these are magical tattoos have been present in D&D before, as like a psionic type thing.
Didn't 3.5 have magical? No. They're like dragon marks or something.
So dragon marks have been a thing in Eberron. And those are actually in the Eberron book. The way they do it is that's a variant race that you pick, because dragon marks are specific to different races.
Yes.
Or you can pick like an aberrant mark, and I can't remember how that's done, if it's like a background or something. But yeah, and those they show up as Driz points out in the chat. They're more like birthmarks, in that like they look like tattoos, but you are born with them. Whereas these,
maybe she's born with it.
Maybe it's I can't think of a dragon marked house.
Maybe it's ancient eldritch magic.
That rhymes with Maybelline. But yeah, so these are these are basically magical tattoos. What you do is it's the tattoo needle after the attunement period like transforms into the tattoo ink that gets absorbed into your skin. So pretty rad on that. And additionally, you can have multiple tattoos and they all occupy the same attunement slot. So because you can only have like 3 attunements unless you're an artificer, this means that for one of those slots you could have like 3 tattoos, as long as you have the appropriate coverage on your body to accept them. And the better the tattoo, the more it covers. So like a legendary magical tattoo covers like half your body.
2
like
limbs
for
and
one
a
tattoo.
torso.
Yeah. So they include things like absorbing damage, giving you a natural armor class. Let's see. You can so sort of like Princess Mononoke, you can have the tattoo basically like lash out as like inky tendrils and grapple people.
Oh, that's creepy.
Not quite the same, because the main character was like cursed and it was like a demon blood type thing or whatever. But it's generally the same concept, is that your tattoo like basically animates and lashes out at things. One that improves unarmed strikes. And also as part of that one, you can also like have your tattoo extend out as tendrils and make unarmed strikes at range. There's one that just makes you a high level fighter. Gives you increased crit range. You deal extra damage on crits, absorb temporary hit points from that. When you get damaged, you can use a reaction to counterattack. Let's see. There's one, Illuminators. Oh, you can hide. Okay. So this one, I don't know. It's a common tattoo, so it's small and it's not very expensive, but it's basically you as an action, you can touch a piece of writing and hide that writing to everyone other than you and a single creature that you name for 24 hours.
Oh.
So useful for espionage.
Yeah.
But
you said it's common?
It's common.
Would it still take up an attunement slot?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it does still require attunement.
That's crap.
But as I said,
I think with these tattoos,
as I said, it's basically if you have any tattoo, it occupies the same attunement slot. So like if you have that one and the Blood Fury one, they occupy the same slot.
So question.
You can use them, they stack?
Yes.
Yeah, all the tattoos basically go into the same attunement slot. Question.
How many could you get all the tattoos and have them all work at the same time?
In theory.
Because you have 2 sides of your torso. You have your
Well,
back and
hang on,
you
so
have
let's
your
see.
belly.
Oh,
let's
that's
see,
right. Never mind. I remember
because they
you talking
cover
about-
parts
they
of the
cover
body.
a certain amount of your body. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I forgot that bit.
Is you couldn't get all of them. You could get, let's see, you could get a legendary one. You could get a very rare one. An uncommon. And then I guess you could get a bunch of common ones because they're just anywhere up to 6 inches.
Okay, that makes that one. Because I was thinking like, oh, you're wasting a 2-minute slot just to hide writing for a day.
No, that's
but
why
if
I
it stacks
like
with other
these.
ones, I get it.
Yeah.
There's one which gives you Death Ward once a day.
Yeah.
One where it has 3 charges and you can use it to turn incorporeal for a turn.
Yeah.
One that lets you change how the tattoo looks and lets you cast a disguise self once a day. One that's spell storing, so it holds a single spell up to 5th level. Once the tattoo's on your skin, you can cast its spell requiring no material components. So it's basically, it functions like a scroll up to 5th level. But once the spell ends, the tattoo goes away.
Oh.
So it's a consumable one. That one does not require attunement. It doesn't look like. Yeah, that's odd. That seems to be the only one that doesn't require attunement, and I wonder if it's because it's consumable.
Probably.
And then basically one that gives you advantage on stealth, and once per day you get uncanny dodge. So yeah. Actually, wait. Because uncanny dodge, I think, is... Okay, so it's better than uncanny dodge. It's just when you take damage. You just reduce the damage by half.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So yeah. All in all, again, Wizards has done a really great job with the recent Unearthed Arcana. I'm looking forward to seeing what sort of book this all gets released in. Might be another sort of Xanathars-like book where it's a whole bunch of player options. And I kind of like the format that they've been doing, where it's like Xanathar's Guide to Everything, Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, Wayfinder's Guide to Eberron, or what is it called? They changed the name. So Wayfinder's Guide to Eberron was the PDF that they put out. That was like the test book that irritated everybody. Whereas like the campaign setting is now called like Eberron, the Rising from the Last War, or something like that. But Volo's Guide to Monsters, Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, and stuff like that. I like that sort of branding that they have for the books now. So, yeah, I would love to see something that's like I don't know, like basically taking one of the official characters from like one of the podcasts or something, and incorporating that. You know,
Drizzt's Guide to, I don't know.
That would have been great for, instead of the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, be like Drizzt's Guide to the Sword Coast.
Oh, that would be good. Yeah,
that would have been good. Actually, you know, it'd be really funny is if they do a Neverwinter specific book and it's Neverwinter's Guide to Neverwinter. But set it up, because they also do like a theme for the book kind of a thing, and set it up so that it's almost like a giant travel brochure.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be cute.
That would be funny. I think
fun.
That would have been a fun April Fool's type thing. I think.
Yeah, nobody had time for April Fool's jokes this year.
No. But tell you what, Perkins, call me. I got it.
I mean, what I like about that, I really like Volo's Guide, because I like the little things about it that Volo will write this thing about a monster and then it'll be like crossed out.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, and, making it look like an actual
who's the
manual.
The other wizard?
Elminster.
Elminster's like, no, Volo, actually this, and this.
Yeah.
Like, I like the little stuff like that. The little
That's
annotations. Like, annotations from characters within the world is kind of cool.
So yeah. Now, so the piece of bonus news that I wanted to get to was basically Blizzard put out a post that it seems like they want, at least they're saying they've heard your feedback, players, and it seems like they're once again on the sort of every other expansion cycle is that they're reacting to a lot of the feedback from Battle for Azeroth, and they're reintroducing a lot of extra spells and stuff to reintroduce class identity as opposed to paring down, and also making certain abilities function across all specs. And kind of retooling things so back where they were, and the main example being enhancement shamans, going back to being more like enhancement shamans and less like fury warriors or arms warriors or whatever. So where it's all about now stacking weapon buffs as opposed to it's all just...
I liked enhancement shaman and as like the modern enhancement shaman.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, but Wind Fury's coming back.
Yeah, fine. Just give us that, and on top of what we already have.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. So playing classic and playing enhancement shaman in classic.
Tell me why.
Exactly. Is
I thought that was like somebody playing a sound effect or whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Enhancement shaman classic is so boring to play. You're basically waiting on auto attacks. That's it.
Yeah.
You have Storm Strike, and you're waiting on auto attacks, and you're praying for Wind Fury crits. And sometimes you're not praying for Wind Fury crits because you're going to pull aggro and die if you Wind Fury crit too early in a fight. But Enhancement Shaman, last time I played it, and I played, what expansion are we in here? What is this?
Shadowlands?
No, not yet.
Currently, Battle for Azeroth.
Battle for Azeroth. I played a bit at Battle for Azeroth when it first came out. And I'll say even Enhancement Shaman from when I came back into the game and started playing it in Pandaland. That's when I really started playing Enhancement Shaman. It just feels more
Pandaland
interactive and like a little more fast paced, and like it feels like I'm always doing something, or like I'm getting ready to do something, because it doesn't have like a set rotation, but it does have a priority list of skills you should hit when they're off cooldown, and like waiting, and sometimes things come off cooldown like when something else happens, so like you're just being very cognizant of like what's going on, and like you're always prepping to do something. Whereas Wild Classic is like, okay, there's Storm Strike, I'll hit it again in 15 seconds, and then I guess I'll just auto attack until
so I will say what it seems like they're changing it to is
and I hate totems. They're a pain in the butt.
Oh, it looks like they're bringing back totems.
Get rid of them. I like that we didn't have to put them down anymore.
Totems and chaining abilities, so it sounds like trying to do different combo type stuff.
I hated totems,
but getting rid of Maelstrom and the Maelstrom bar. So
which was basically just rage, pretty much.
Maelstrom weapon returns. Flame Tongue and Wind Fury also return. Passive bonus provided by Hailstorm has been redesigned so that it resets the cooldown of Flame Shock and Frost Shock when you use Storm Strike. Searing Assault metamorphizes into a powerful fire attack, striking for fire damage and causing Searing Totem to cast faster. Also triggers Flame Shock. So it sounds like
there like interactions are going on, and that's cool, and I like that about modern enhancement, because there is stuff like that already. There are interactions between the abilities that are fun and you're keeping track of. But I don't like having to put down totems and like remembering where they are, and like and they probably think about this now because you had to worry about them pulling aggro in classic, and like if you got too far away from them, like not even that far away from them, they didn't affect you anymore, and like stuff like that.
I think what would be interesting to see is if they kept totems, but that they were like a buff that followed you around. It's like mobile totems, basically.
They did that. I feel like that was something that I felt like shamans had that a while. I don't know. It's hard. I can't.
There was one where you could reposition them.
Or maybe I'm just thinking of like like Wind Fury buffing your own weapons and stuff. Like maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. But I could think like that maybe, they're totems that like float around with you and like they're still targetable and everything because that's kind of a thing that you need to do for like grounding totem and stuff.
Yeah, I like that. That'd be okay. Just like I don't want more things I have to keep track of.
Yeah.
Like spatially.
But I also
like
it.
So much going on spatially in raids in Modern WoW that's like to keep track of more is a real pain.
I also would like it if it's more so like if you had like base totems which were almost like buffs that you just set and that they don't expire, and then greater totems will say where it transforms your base totem into that one, so it's more of like a cooldown like ability, and then it reverts back to the base one when that cooldown's done.
I mean, and you kind of had that with like fire elemental totem. Yep. It was like when you had your fire, you have your 4 totems, and like you put down your little fireball plink one, but then you have a cooldown where like, nope, I'm spawning a fire elemental like once every 5 minutes or something.
Yep. Yeah, or like so you have it like fire elemental is a cooldown ability, and that when you cast it, it's say Searing Totem stops attacking and instead generates a fire elemental that attacks. While the fire elemental is active, your Searing Totem doesn't attack, and then when it goes away, it resumes to Searing Totem, kind of a thing. So that way, you're not having to keep track of resetting totems every 2 minutes or whatever in combat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and that's like kind of what I'm talking about too. Is like
tedious.
Exactly. So like keeping track of how long your totems are down for because they were on a limit, and even if it was like a 5-minute limit, which is a long time, in a boss fight might be 10 minutes long, depending. That's a long boss fight, but you just gotta like be aware of that stuff, and that's like extra timers and stuff you gotta have on your screen, and that's more clutter in your UI, and it's just more tedium. And if there's one thing I hate, it's tedium. In all aspects of my life.
I mean, the big change for hunters is Arcane Shot, Eyes of the Beast, Hunter's Mark, Kill Shot, Scare Beast, and Trank Shot will all be available regardless of spec. Which makes me wonder, how is that going to work for survival? Since 3 of those are ranged abilities, and Hunter's Mark augments range damage. Because they haven't talked about all of the abilities that they're boosting are still the melee type stuff. So I don't know if maybe it changes, or if now survival just has some range tools to help it close or something. But yeah, I don't know. Beast Mastery doesn't actually change all that much. They're just tweaking a bunch of talents. So that makes me happy. I don't have to relearn how to play my class again. That's the thing that stops me from like having to play like all of my alts, is like every time I play them, they've changed the class and I have to relearn how to do it every time. And I'm like, ugh.
I know in the last Final Fantasy expansion, they did like what WoW did a while back, where they kind of streamlined down abilities and rotations for a lot of classes. And like I played Dragoon in Final Fantasy 14, which notoriously had a very long, like a 12 ability long rotation, like skill rotation. It was insane. And not only that, you have to like, there's positioning too, like you got to be on the side or behind for certain things too. And I made it work, and once you get it down, you get it down. But like for extreme examples like that, they kind of streamlined abilities down to make it not so insane. And that's one of the reasons I kind of want to go back and try and see if that's a little easier to play now. Curious.
And then probably the biggest change that everybody's excited for is the ability to do 2-handed Frost Death Knights.
Oh, I thought you were going to say 2-handed enhancement shamans.
Hang on, let me just check and see. Did they talk about that?
That's because that's where you get those big Wind Fury crits. That was the thing.
It's basically Chain Heal, Chain Lightning, Healing Stream, Flame Tongue Weapon, Flame Shock, Frost Shock, Lightning Shield is available for all shamans. Searing Totem returns for all shamans. 2-handed shaman. I'm not seeing anything, but I know that was definitely up there.
Because you get yourself a hand of rag.
Oh yeah,
You go to town,
yeah.
pretty much.
But yeah. So yeah, Frost Death Knight, able to use two-handed weapons. It looks like. Let me just confirm that. Yeah, one-handed or one two-handed weapon. But yeah, no word if it goes back to being a tank spec though. It might still be a DPS spec. So, yeah, I just I still play occasionally. I'll play Shadowlands when it comes out. And it was mostly the Wind Fury procs coming back that I was like, oh, I gotta talk about this with Josh.
I say I will never go back now, but who knows what will happen like a week before it drops.
Yeah. So that's gonna wrap up kind of our extra long news segment this week.
Yeah.
But let's talk really quick on what's going on with 8-Bit Adventures.
Yeah.
So I promise this will be quick, because it's really not a whole lot of news. But so new comic this week, Vampire Protector.
Yeah.
For the 8-Bit Adventures comic. And then as far as streams go, art stream this week, I'm going to be doing some fan art. I still haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do fan art of yet. So if you want to suggest stuff, you can spend gold in the chat to make a suggestion.
No. Why would I do that when I could summon Monty?
I mean, I don't know, because it's much cheaper to suggest artwork than it is to summon my dog. And the dog can only get summoned once per stream, I believe.
Yeah.
And then Saturday,
I'm willing to pay.
Saturday will be another Animal Crossing stream. And then I think that'll be the last one before I transition next week to playing Baldur's Gate 1 Enhanced Edition. I saw some gameplay of Baldur's Gate 3, and I know it's nothing like Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, but it got me excited, and I was like, you know what, I should probably play 1 and 2.
I mean, you like Divinity, so you'll probably like.
I really enjoyed Divinity, and basically Baldur's Gate 3 looks like Divinity on steroids, so I am super pumped. Just like the fact that they do bonus actions along with regular actions, and like the number of things that every character can do is just crazy. And the hilarious stuff of like that if you take Mage Hand, it summons like a spectral Mage Hand that can like push and shove people. That gets hilarious when you shove them off of cliffs because they just go flying. It's great. So next week I'll start playing Baldur's Gate. And then
have you beat Chrono Trigger?
I have not beat Chrono Trigger. I think I'm gonna just play the rest of it off stream.
Yeah.
I'm getting to the point where it's just like doing the side quests and then going after Lavos. I was looking up trying to see like, I keep hearing about like all the different endings you can do, and I'm like, oh, like did I miss something? You know, is there like other choices, you know, through the start of the game? I didn't realize that it's just basically how you beat Lavos that determines the ending or whatever. And that most of them are achieved through New Game Plus. And that like in theory, like I already missed my opportunity for trying to get the dev ending in my first playthrough.
I see.
It did not go over well. Let's put it that way. Let's just say the game progressed how the developers intended it to on my first playthrough. But yeah, so I just have all the end game side quests to do.
Chrono died, right?
Yeah.
Oh
Okay.
no!
Oh,
Yes,
sorry.
Chrono died,
Spoiler on
and then
28-year-old game.
he
26-year-old
died,
You guys
and then
know that I really don't care about spoilers,
and then I brought him back.
Okay, that's what I didn't want to. I wanted to know if you brought him back.
I did.
You
Yeah.
can beat the game with him still dead.
You can. Yeah.
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 Which I didn't.
I also didn't realize that like if you lose the fight, it gives you a bad ending. Like if you lose the final fight. Yeah.
Wow.
I was just like, oh, like it just doesn't give you a game over. Like, oh, that's weird. Because usually like you would have to finish the game to like even get a bad ending.
Right.
And this is like, nope, if you lose and if you get a game over in the final battle, you just get the bad ending. It's like, oh, feels bad, man. So yeah, I'm gonna finish that up off stream.
If you play Chrono Cross, you know there are only bad endings to Chrono Trigger.
Kind of, yeah. I was reading the sort of the plot on that.
Yeah.
And how basically like the team from Chrono Trigger are kind of like antagonists a little bit in Chrono Cross. Or at least just like they oppose you at certain points.
I don't know it's one of those games I vaguely know the plot of Chrono Cross because I never beat it when I was younger. That's one of the games I'm actually probably going to play after Final Fantasy 7 Remake because I want to go back and play it really bad. But yeah.
It's just basically they show up at certain points and are like, no, you cannot do this, and they will blow up cities and stuff to prevent you from acquiring items. And they're just like, no, our dimension must be protected at all costs.
Well, that seems like a little bit of an overreaction. Blow up a city so you can't get an item.
Because if the main character acquires that item, the belief is that the main boss in Chrono Trigger destroys the world in the Chrono Trigger world.
Yeah. Chrono Trigger deals with traveling back and forth in time in a single dimension. Chrono Cross deals with jumping sideways through different dimensions.
Yeah. Yep.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of it as far as news for 8-Bit Adventures. So, patrons, if you haven't checked yet, there is a post up on the Patreon talking about ability scores for Tales of Jamora and some alternate ways on how to determine them. So, go check that out. Leave some feedback on the post. Interested to get your thoughts. And then again, as with most of the other patron-only stuff, after some play testing, I'll post that to the Jamora site as an article.
After it's been workshopped a little.
After it's been workshopped a little bit, yeah. So, now, without further ado, let us get to Quest Log. Quest log, as we go through all of our where we press the L key and we go through our tab to see like what we've been doing over the past week. That is the right key for Warcraft, right? Open up your quest tab is L.
I can't remember.
It's definitely not Q. So
L for
I know
log.
guild is J for Jild.
Is it? No, I have mine set to G.
I don't know. Mine was always J for some weird reason. Maybe I screwed it up somehow. But I always made the joke. J
has the little nubby on it, so that
J
makes sense.
for Jild. I always said.
So, Courtney, why don't you start?
Yeah, because I have been not doing much. Finals are upon me for school for the semester. So I've actually been just doing homework all week. I think I played a little bit of Stardew at the end of last week and probably a little bit more of Will a Wonderful World again at the end of last week, but I know that I have not touched my Switch this week because homework is important and has to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, my plan though, as soon as I am done with my homework and all of this is all set, is to finish Will a Wonderful World and probably start on Opus.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
cool.
I have plans, people. It's still not going back and watching more of Tiger King because that's just not gonna happen. I see more memes and I keep getting more upset about how I can't get through it. I just can't.
Yeah, Megan's been watching that.
Yeah, it's ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I've not watched it. I just like the visual aesthetic of that show, and mullets and diamond studded pistol grips and like handcuffs and meth and tigers. I don't care about the story. I just like the visuals and memes coming from it.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. Josh, how about
What
you?
about you guys?
What
Yeah.
you've been up to?
Sure. I beat Final Fantasy X last week.
Nice.
I think last Thursday-ish, Thursday or Friday, whatever. And that game is great. That is, I think right now it sits as probably, I think, my favorite Final Fantasy game. I say this all the time, my favorite Final Fantasy switches all the time, depending on like my mood and what I'm feeling and what I think is good. But after playing that with like an 18-year difference from when I beat it when I was in high school and a teenager to now, I appreciate it way more. It's again, like I said earlier, that jump from PS1 to PS2 allowed for a lot better storytelling. And even though the game's a little awkward and goofy at times with the voice acting and dialogue, I think that's part of the charm to it. And I think some of it was probably intended to be a little goofy and cringy, which is good. It does a good job of portraying the characters' personalities very well, which even considering some of the new ones, it does a better job than even some of the more modern Final Fantasies in developing the characters. So that game's a masterpiece as far as I'm concerned, and Final Fantasies go. If you've never played a Final Fantasy and you wanted to get into it, start with 10.
Oh,
I think it's a good one to get into. It's got a very easy combat system to grasp and like understand. There's no like real-time active time battle crap. It's turn-based, and your turns are listed here on the side, and you know who's going next. And like active time battle, I feel like I'm reacting more than I'm being
100%
proactive. I'm being much more proactive in Final Fantasy X, planning ahead for what's going on than like in Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, even 6. Like I'm just like, oh, I gotta rush and hit the right ability quickly so it goes off before.
I mean, that's what I'm doing in Chrono Trigger.
Exactly. Yeah, Chrono Trigger as well. So yeah, Final Fantasy X, masterpiece, great. It has the best ending of all the Final Fantasies by far.
It was my first Final Fantasy game, so
it's a super game. So after that, I was trying to fill some time for the week before Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I had like, there's a bunch of stuff I could do, but I was like, I could probably sneak in a cheeky little playthrough of Fire Emblem in a week. I'm like, I could do that in a week. I could get Golden Deer done in a week. So I did. I started Golden Deer because it's the one house I hadn't played, not counting the other path for the church path for Black Eagle. I'll do that someday. But it's like, I could get this done in a week. If I play like 6-7 hours a day, I could easily do it, because I know the first half of the game I can fly through, and like you're so overpowered in New Game Plus anyway, like it's easy. I'm like, do that. I'm like, oh, but the new DLC came out and I want to try out those new characters.
That was first mistake.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'll download all the DLC. And my thought was, I thought that the DLC stuff would just pop up through the main campaign, and it wasn't happening. I'm like, man, why haven't the new the Ashen Wolf stuff like popped up? So I researched. It was like, no, it's like a side content you do outside of the main game. It's like, oh, okay. And when you do it, you unlock those characters within the main campaign. It's like, okay. So I'm like, oh, it's just a DLC. It'll be like, I don't know, a day, like a 6-hour thing, right? It'll be like a 6-hour, there'll just be a couple fights, and it'll be like pretty quick. So I started it thinking like, I'll get it done. I can still get this Golden Deer thing done by Friday. Easy. Way off. I've spent the last 3 days. One of the days was like an 8-hour stream. It's like, insane. I don't know. I gotta look and see. I think I did like 10 hours on that stupid DLC, something like that. I don't know. But the DLC it's fun. It's interesting. It introduces the secret fourth house at the monastery, the Ashen Wolves, and they live underground like sewer people in a place called Abyss.
It's so that it's supposed to be a haven for all the people seeking protection.
It's all the misfits who
seeking the church's protection.
Yeah, who are these misfit people who need protection from the church, basically live in the tunnels underneath the monastery. and you like encounter these 4 quirky kind of misfit students who are the Ashen Wolves, and they're definitely not evil leader Alfric, who kind of is he's their shepherd. He keeps calling them it's like my flock. As soon as he said that, I'm like, he's evil.
He's
straight
a cult
up
leader.
Yeah, as soon as you call people your flock, you're automatically evil. So
it's cult.
Yep.
I'm not going to spoil it, but it goes through this whole story. You learn more about Byleth's mother. That's a strong part of the story. Because there's a connection between Alfric and Byleth's mother, and you learn a little bit more about like Byleth's birth and why Byleth's mother died and all that stuff. And you learn a bit about the 4 students. I like them all. I like Balthus the best. He's a punch boy. He goes around punching, and I like him. And he doesn't wear a shirt under his coat, and he just has abs, and he's great.
Yeah, he seems like having a second Raphael.
Yeah, so for a second I was like, I could just have 2 Raphaels on my team. But
I almost wonder if it's the same voice actor too.
Might be.
It sounded really close.
Yeah, you get Balthus, he's a punch monk. You get Yuri, who's like a rogue. Trickster is his class. Happy, and she's like a Pegasus or Wyvern mage. And who's the other one? They call her Coco. Constance, who's all like a Pegasus mage. And they all have their own special classes. And when you and you unlock those classes as special classes within the main game too, when you do this. So it's interesting. It's cool. It's a fun DLC. But the one thing I will say is it is way more difficult than the main game. Yeah. Way more difficult. The only time I ever struggled in the main game was like the last couple fights of the Blue Lion and Black Eagle, because like the last couple fights always ramp up a bit. But like this game, I was getting game over screens. Like I never got a game over. Like I lost 3 people and they died permanently, and I didn't care because I didn't want to go back and do the fights again, and that made it even harder towards the end. I kept digging my hole deeper and deeper for myself as I first. So you get Dimitri, Edelgard, Claude, Hilda, and Ash that come with you to like. Oh,
and Linhardt. Because you get two from each house.
Right. Sorry, and Linhardt. I forgot Linhardt. Sometimes he's forgettable. He just heals and takes naps. But yeah, you get them. They come from them. Like they come and help you. And so like the first fight, I make it through. Second fight, Dimitri dies towards the end. I'm like, I'm not doing that whole fight again. I don't care. I can do this without Dimitri, whatever. It doesn't affect the main game. I don't care if he's dead in this DLC. We go through, like, I go through the next fight. Fine. The fight after that, Hilda dies. I'm like, I don't care. Hilda wasn't doing that much for me anyway. She hardly attacked. I never used her. I don't need her. I was like, I'm going to do it without her. Next fight, get towards the end, Edelgard dies. Cause I'm like, I think this is the last battle. I don't care if Edelgard dies. I'm moving on.
We'll do it live.
Exactly. I get faked out. There's another fight after that. I'm like, and every fight is so freaking difficult. And they throw like 40 enemies at you. No joke. I counted one time. There were like 30 or 40 enemies on the screen. It's like, this is insane. How do they expect you to do this? And like, anybody, like Sean was watching my stream and I'm like,
watching Josh's stream was watching Josh's slow descent into pure madness and chaos.
I'm like this in my chair. I'm throwing my controller up in the air and catch it. I'm like, so I want to throw it across the room. I'm like, oh my god.
No, controllers are expensive.
I know, and that's the only reason.
Get another one right now.
Exactly. So I got through it today, and
oh man.
Point being, I couldn't get in that Golden Deer playthrough before Friday. There's no way I'm finishing that tomorrow. Yep. So it'll have to wait till after FF7, which is fine. Because I'm still interested in finishing that playthrough, but that's what I've been doing. And then once Friday drop FF7, it'll be that.
Yep.
That FF7. All the time.
Yeah. Twitch.tv/DamnAnimal. If you want to watch it, that's where I'll be all weekend for sure doing that.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what I've been doing.
If I get my homework done.
Losing my friggin' mind to Fire Emblem DLC.
Courtney, if it's something where you work better with having something in the background,
that might be.
You could do that.
I do that a lot. I put streams on because a lot of what I've been doing with streaming is like kind of networking with other small streamers and like. Mm-hmm. So I'll just lurk in their chat and like keep them on in another tab while I'm doing other stuff. I do a lot of that.
Yeah, because I actually have gotten more done at work than I've gotten done at home, and I think
Yeah.
that's because the TV's just on in the living room at work.
Yeah, I know.
And so I think, as opposed to putting something like Netflix on, where it's, even if I put on something stupid or like put on
Yeah.
like, I might do like Hulu and put on Futurama or
Mhm.
something and just go binge through that, because I think the commercial breaks also help me realize, okay, time is passing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to get to this.
Yeah.
But that's a good idea.
And then I've been still playing through Animal Crossing. I've gone back to Fire Emblem as well, thanks to Josh. And trying to finish up my playthrough, I just got to the point where I defeated the Empire. So now I have basically all of the extra stuff that they added to Golden Deer, which makes it the one true ending. Josh and I have been going back and forth on this as to the true canonical ending.
My true canon is Edelgard's Path. That's just me.
And I would say the Golden Deer because they actually solve the problem that Fodlan seems to have once and for all. Actually, you could argue all of the problems that Fodlan seems to have.
I will say this, and I said this when I played it. I wish the last battle of Golden Deer was the last battle of Black Eagle, because that's the one thing that never gets addressed, is those who slither in the dark thing. Like in Black Eagle, they talk about it all the time because it's very adjacent to what Edelgard's doing. But like, it's okay, I conquered the continent and defeated the church, but those who slither in the dark are still out there, and they never address it. And I was like, oh, that's weird. But
that sounds frustrating.
But
and unsatisfying.
Lo and behold, Golden Deer Claude ends racism and ends this ancient threat to Fodlan at the same time.
Yep.
Claude MVP.
Indeed. He's got like a 52% crit chance in my game. It's absurd.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's why I'm just like, oh, I can't. Yeah.
Oh, you want to know what 52% means? 52% means if it's me, if it's me,
0%.
No chance. It means
no
0%.
Chance.
But if it's the other team, it means they're gonna crush me and like knock me out of the game.
Yeah.
That was the story of me in the DLC, was percentages. It was basically playing XCOM. That's why I was losing my freaking mind.
Yeah. And then Megan and I watched Onward last weekend.
Oh yeah, that's right. You told me.
Yes.
Yeah, that was great. I loved it. So D&D factors heavily into that movie.
Oh,
and apparently they consulted with wizards on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they also had they had a beholder in one of the scenes. There was a gelatinous cube. The moment they said gelatinous cube, I was just like,
my mom got excited about that, actually, because that's like, one of the few things that she knew.
Well, because they called it a gelatinous cube, which I was like, that's not open source. That's trademark. Fun fact, folks. Yeah, beholders and gelatinous cubes are some of the monsters that Wizards controls via their IP. So, I think mind flayers are technically another one. Is that like if you use them in some, or it might be that lithids, but like if you call them other things, like you can still use that. But like if you call them mind flayers or lithids, it's trademark. There's like a couple of weird monsters that D&D has because they've been around forever. I think flumps are another one.
What?
It's just a weird. Yeah, we'll talk about it off stream.
Yeah.
Weird.
Okay.
But yeah, that was a fantastic movie. I think Tom Holland and Chris Pratt gave amazing performances.
Were they the voice actors?
Yes.
They were. The two main characters, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Tom Holland plays a wizard, and Chris Pratt plays basically a 30-year-old guy who just sits around and plays too much D&D instead of going out and get a regular job. Yep. And drives a sweet wizard van.
That's the one thing I'm missing.
Yeah.
Put it in what gear? He puts it in what gear?
O for Onward.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you can check off. They say the title of the movie in the movie. But yeah, really great story. I I was not expecting it to essentially revolve around a tabletop role playing game.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's what it does. I was super pleasantly surprised. So,
I was.
yeah, I mean, if
I
you're
was-
if you're a D&D fan, definitely watch that film.
I wasn't really interested in it, but I may check it out now.
I was
It's,
too much of an emotional wreck to like even remember that was like the theme.
What's great
yeah.
is it's another example of it's a better Dungeons and Dragons movie than the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Take that back. There's no better movie than that Dungeons and Dragons movie.
There are plenty of
We don't
movies
talk
that are
about that. Dragon Ball,
what's
unless we're
the
talking
other
about
one?
Willow.
It's well, yeah, Willow's another great
I mean,
Dungeons and Dragons
Willow.
movie. That's better than but
One
no,
of
I'm
the
trying
best
to think
Dungeons and
of
Dragons movie. It's Lord of the Rings.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the quintessential one.
Yeah.
Not The Hobbit though.
It's
What about the animated Hobbit?
I don't know. I mean, it certainly fits the time period. Let's put it that way.
It's very
Yeah.
70s.
Yeah.
My dad wouldn't let me watch that movie. He wouldn't let me rent it, actually, until I read The Hobbit.
I mean, also Black Cauldron, better D&D movie than the D&D
Oh,
movie.
absolutely. Oh,
That movie is
yes.
100% Dungeons and Dragons.
yes, it is. I love that.
And if it's not that, then it's definitely a JRPG. Let's put it that way.
Oh, at the very, very least.
So sorry, this connected in my head. I was reading something on Reddit the other day, and they're like, Tiger King would make the best JRPG. And they listed like all the reasons why.
Oh.
No, thank you.
Yeah. So,
yeah. So Onward.
Yeah, definitely check out Onward. It's available on Disney Plus right now. It's
Yes.
also available digitally on like Amazon Prime and things like that.
Mhm.
And with that, we're done. So thank you for joining us, everybody. If you want to see more content from 8-Bit Adventures, be sure to check out 8-bitadventures.com. If you want to help support that content, you can either subscribe here on Twitch using Twitch Prime or just a regular old subscription, or you can become a patron at patreon.com/8bitadventures. Some of the benefits include, so all patrons get exclusive access to the Speedy and Monty comic, get early access to the 8-Bit Adventures comic.
Yeah.
Patrons at $2 and up get access to some like game design stuff that I work with for both 8-Bit Adventures and Tales of Jamora.
Yeah.
And patrons at the $5 and up tier, I'm trying to remember, aside from getting access to a special channel in our Discord, which the link is here. Let's see if it puts it in chat. Not seeing it in chat. Oh no.
Oh no.
But basically, I'll work that out later. But we also have a Discord server, so patrons get access to a special channel, and $5 and up patrons get access to their own channel, as well as there's some special extra benefits in there as well.
Did you already talk about the patrons receiving a coupon for merch?
Well, it's not a coupon so much as a discount.
Discount code.
Is yes, that is also available to all patrons. Is a special patrons only 10% off code for the merch store, which you can find at shop.8bitadventures.com.
Get an awesome Monty shirt.
Yeah. Our opening theme is One Up by Professor Shy Guy. You can find his work over at professorshyguy.bandcamp.com. And you can find me on Facebook and Twitter at 8-Bit Adventures. Courtney, where can folks find you?
People can find me on Twitter on the rare occasions that I actually log into it, at cbolin91. Also, if you say something to me in at 8-bit, I know Sean will probably get that to me.
Yep. And Josh, where can people find you? I know you said it before, but...
Yeah, twitch.tv/damnanimal. I'm on there just about every day because I got nothing else going on right now, so I might as well do that. I'm closing in on affiliate. I've got like 33 followers, so working on getting to 50, and yeah, So come on by, follow, and watch me lose my mind playing video games. Watch my slow but sure descent into madness.
Oh yes.
Slow but sure. Okay.
And with that, as always, have fun, everyone. Happy gaming, and enjoy your pie cake.
Bye, everybody. Keep calm and carry on right now.
Keep on keeping on.